Are you a project manager or a professional in project management domain that are trying to adopt a hybrid approach? Hybrid approach is something that is really important if you're looking to get more agility in your organization. In this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process to transition to hybrid project management, how to adopt hybrid in your project, in your organizations. Stay with me. Hello, fellow colleagues, project managers. Welcome to another video about hybrid project management. This is a series of videos that I'm publishing here on YouTube every Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning. So the idea is to give you every week some information, some insights, best practice, and share my experience with more than 20 years in project management, talking about hybrid project management. This is the fourth video that I'm publishing. The first video you can see in my in this timeline, in this channel. I started talking about the genesis about project management. They show a little bit about the history, how project management starts, some milestones. The second video, I show the difference between predictive and most of you call traditional, and adaptive, that it's called agile. So in the second video, I show you some difference between these two approaches. The third video, we saw about how hybrid project management could bring the best option to both of these approaches, and how can you bring the value between traditional and agile. And in this video, I'm gonna talk specifically about hybrid project management. What is project management? How can you adopt a hybrid project management? I'm gonna focus specifically on the process, and I'm gonna show you step by step how can you adopt hybrid management in your projects, in your organization. So if you are not following my channel, I invite you to click here on the button to subscribe my channel, and you're gonna be informed every week, every Thursday, about new videos, new contents about hybrid project management. And also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. This will help me to be in the top of the list of other videos related to hybrid project management, agility, and everything related to this domain, and help other professionals to learn about hybrid project management and project management in general. My name is Rogério Manso, and I'm a project manager for working with more than 20 years of experience in this domain. And I live here in Canada, and I decided to start my channel to share a little bit about my experience and my knowledge about hybrid project management, because I have a quote that I used to say that we are all project managers. Doesn't matter what profession do you have, what specialty you work. We are all project managers. We need to manage projects in our life, personal life, professional life, social life. So we must understand about project management, how to deliver best value to you and to your community, to your friends, to your family, in your work. So that's why I started this channel, and how this is what makes me really motivated to share my experience with you. So let's start this video that we're gonna talk about introduction or to adopting hybrid project management in your project, in your organizations. I would like to start you with something that is, I would say, very basic. When you need to make a change in our life, the first thing we need to do is to recognize the need for this change, for this transition. In this case, if you are transitioning to hybrid project management, could be from a traditional or agile approach, we need to understand, we need to recognize that we need to change something. We need to transition to another approach. We need to have an objective with this change. And I used to use an acronym that I call ADA. That means 3 words that in the sequence will help you to organize your activities to adopt or to transit to hybrid management. The first is it's about awareness. You need to understand and to recognize that you need to change. The second is about the desire. You need to really develop a strong desire to make this change. And the third one is the ability. You need to have the skills, the knowledge. You need to develop these skills to change and to help you to evolve with these changes. So you can keep in mind these 3 letters, ADA, that will help you to identify the moment, the sequence that you need to follow when you are adopting hybrid project management. So you need to first be aware about what you need to change, that you need to change. You need to have a strong desire and you need to develop ability to change. When we talk about the need to change something, we need to understand why we need to change. And there's many reasons that I can give you to adopt hybrid project management. Among these reasons, I would say one of the biggest one is that the marketing, the business is really changing very, very fast. Your projects need to be adapted to this agility or these quickly change in the market. So you need to be flexible in terms of how to adapt your projects, your organizations in terms of what the business market it's changing. So that's why we talk about agility. We know that agile methods can handle these changes, but there are some projects or some components in your projects that sometimes require a more structured approach. It's not all projects that we can adopt a full agile or adaptive approach. Some projects and some organizations also require that you have some predictive components in your project. And talking about this, we have some projects that have this mixed characteristics. If you want to have an example, I strongly suggest you to look at my last video where I share some examples about what is a hybrid project. A hybrid project is when you have some components that you need to manage in a predictive way and some components that you can manage in a more adaptive way. When you have projects that have these both situations, both characteristics, this is when the hybrid approach is really recommended to be adopted. Another point is that sometimes you need to change because the team skills, the preference, the stakeholders, the customers, the sponsors are requesting some kind of strategy in your projects that you cannot use only predictive or only adaptive. I'm going to give you an example. For example, for you, if you're working in a project, in an adaptive project where your sponsor or your organization requires some kind of more detailed documentation or more straight control in terms of the cost and the timeline. So in this case, maybe you have some components in your project that must use some predictive approach, and your team skills, your stakeholders are driving the decision where what kind of approach you need to use. And of course, when we have client and stakeholder preference, in this case, I'm talking about some specific conditions that your clients, your stakeholders are asking you to adopt. Sometimes if you're offering a service or a consultancy, you need to follow some customers' requirements, some customers' questions and strategies that they need to work with you. Sometimes, and I had this experience, I try to adopt a strategy that my customer are not aware. They don't know how to follow this strategy. I'm talking specifically about Agile. Sometimes I started working in an adaptive project, in an Agile Scrum project, where my customer was trying to follow the project, but they don't have enough knowledge and skills to follow me. So I had to change, to adapt my project, my strategy, to make sure that the customer is also able to follow, to work with me in this project. So sometimes you need to adapt the strategy, you need to adapt the approach to answer the different stakeholders, different exigencies in terms of your project. We need to understand what means the hybrid mindset. Maybe you if you are working in Agile, you talked a lot of Agile mindset, but in hybrid approach, we also need to develop a hybrid mindset. Why it's a mindset? Mindset is related to the culture, the way of thinking things. And we need to start thinking, or to develop some kind of thinking and in terms of adaptability, integration, and mixing different approaches. And this is the hybrid mindset. And we have about 5 characteristics in terms of the hybrid mindset. The first one is embracing flexibility. So the first aspect of hybrid mindset is flexibility. If you're a hybrid project manager, you need to be open to switching between a structure and detailed plan and quick iterative progress based on project needs. So this flexibility, moving from different approach, it's very important if you want to work in hybrid management. The second characteristic is valuing adaptability. We need to work together with flexibility and adaptability. So change, it's a constant in projects, and a hybrid mindset embraces change as an opportunity to improve and innovate your results, rather than seeing it as a threat. So adaptability and flexibility, I would say, that are the 2 biggest and most valuable words in adopting a hybrid mindset. We need to think about the balance. A hybrid mindset involves finding the right balance between predictive and adaptive approach. It's not about choosing one or another. It's trying to live with these 2 approaches. But of course, there are projects that have more components in terms of predictability, and other projects that have more components in terms of adaptability. And this way to find the right balance is when you have a hybrid mindset. Continuous learning and improvement, this is part of any agility process, and hybrid it's also an agility process. We need to keep learning, we need to keep improving. We're gonna learn with our project, we're gonna learn with our developments, we're gonna learn with our mistakes, and we need to, you're gonna improve in the next phase. And also important, we go, it's not about combined methodology. We're talking, when we talk about hybrid project management, we're talking about people, not about process. We're not trying to create a fixed process, a recipe, or a silver bullet to all situations. We need to focus, we need to invest on people. We need to facilitate effective team working. We need to incentive collaborative environment. So that's the team, the stakeholders, the customer, the sponsors, and everyone that is involved in your project. We will help you to create this hybrid mindset. Let's start looking about a step-to-step transition to hybrid approach. In general, I would say we need to follow about 6 steps. The first step is the assessment. We need to understand some context, the scenario we have. The step 2 is to develop some education, change the culture. Step 3, identification. We're gonna identify some data, some points in our system that we can help us to identify the project, the pilot project. The goal here is really to start with a specific project, a well-defined project that will help you to give better results. We're gonna review the result. We're gonna review the post-project situations, post-project scenario, and we're gonna scaling up this process to other projects, to other departments, and to other type of projects. So following these steps will help you to adopt hybrid project management. But you should be asking, Rogério, how can I do this? I'm gonna give you details about each step. The first step, assessment, involves assessing your current project management approach. And you can use a SWOT chart to help you on this. You need to first identify what are the internal factors, external factors that have positive and negative impact in your project or in your organization. If we talk about internal factors, we're talking about having experienced and skilled project team. We're talking about using proving project management methodologies. This, you need to evaluate if you have these positive factors inside your organization, inside your project. Also, we have to have a clear project objective in alignment with organizational goals. We need to have a strong stakeholder engagement. These points are strengths in your internal scenario, could be internal of your project or your organization. But also you must identify some negative factors like the weakness. And maybe you have limited resources such as budget or personnel. These could jeopardize your project, your strategy to adopt hybrid project management. Lack of clearly defined project roles and responsibilities. As in any other approach, you need to really define clearly the roles and responsibilities for your team and your stakeholders. You may have inadequate risk management procedures. I will post a video about managing risk management in hybrid projects. Stay tuned in my channel because I have a specific video in the sequence of these videos talking about risk management, specifically for hybrid projects. Maybe you have a poor communication among team members. Communication, we know, it's a key factor in your project management. So you need to really develop good communication among your team members. If we think about external factors, we have some opportunities like change in tools and apps for managing projects. We see every day new functionalities, new tools, especially today we see artificial intelligence arriving with a lot of opportunities for professionals that are managing projects that will really boost your productivity. So if you are interested on this subject about the artificial intelligence, I also will publish a video talking specifically about how to use artificial intelligence on this in project management. Trends toward virtual work, which lets teams from different places work together. Since the pandemic period, we see more and more organizations adopting a hybrid way to work. So professionals work at home some days and at office another days, and this it's a positive factor because you can work with different people in different locations. We get more organizations realizing how important project management is. I see every day more and more organizations are really investing on project management methodology and project management maturity, and this is very good. Market demand for goods and services your project is giving. As you become more productive in your projects, of course, the market, the business will ask for products and services that are well delivered. And this is a good point where you can justify your adoption for hybrid project management. But we also have some threats. And for example, sometimes we need to share resources inside the organization between multiple projects. This is a very common situation. I would say, most of the organization, almost all organizations, really share resources among different projects. And this is a big risk, a threat in your process to adopt hybrid project management. Another point, some organizations must follow some regulatory chains or some regulatory principles and policies in terms of delivering projects. And this can have an impact on your project scope and timeline. Another big problem is when you don't have enough budget, enough funding in terms of the actual state of the economy. We know economy works like waves. So sometimes we are in the good positions, sometimes we are in the bad positions. Usually when we are in the bad positions, companies try to reduce the budget for new projects. And this, of course, will impact your process to move to another approach. And finally, we have some natural catastrophes pandemics like we saw in the COVID-19 and other unforeseen events, we need to always think about this. Some locations have more impact on these kind of situations. Some locations are less impact, but we never know, and we need to be prepared for this situation when we have some unforeseen events in our project. The second step is about education. We need to, as in any other process, any other work, we need to learn about the principles and practice of project management, especially when you are transitioning to hybrid approach. We have some specific focus, specific areas where we need to think about training and develop some skills. The first, it's when you talk about the leadership education. We are talking about the high management, the high directors. And for these, we can use executive seminars, we can have some case studies to educate these people. We also have the team level education. In this case, we are talking about the project team. So we can have some webinars and company webinars. We can develop some lunch and learn sections. I love lunch and learn because it's a moment where you can at the same time learn and develop the network with your team. We can have some role-specific workshops talking about the specific activities regarding a role or responsibility. And of course, we can develop some certification programs that it's also very good for all team members. We also need to think about education in terms of the cross-functional. It's not only the project team that need to be educated. You need to also expand this knowledge in the other areas of your organization. So we can do some simulations, we can have some training games, we can evolve these people in this new approach. And there, we always need to keep some ongoing programs like internal blogs, posts, newsletters, internal memos. You can develop a Q&A section to answer all questions for everyone. And you also can create communities of practice to share information. It's very important that people know, be comfortable to search information, to ask questions, and to come to you in terms of their questions, their comments, feedbacks, and everything they need to feel part of your team. The third step is in terms of the identification, where we're gonna identify which parts of your project will benefit from new project management approach. For this step, wait for some videos, for a video where I'm gonna show you how to create a double BS in a hybrid project. We must understand which part of your project will be adapted to this hybrid approach. When you talk about projects, we think that some components have more predictive behavior and some components have more adaptive behaviors. And this is when we realize that we have to change. But in this case, we are talking in terms of some more general scenario in your organization, in your project, where you're gonna understand how to best identify your pilot project. When we talk about the identification, we need to see some gap analysis. So what are we missing? We need to identify the current workflows, methodologies, and tools that we are using. And we need to identify if we need to find something or to create something or to adopt something that will help us in the hybrid management. We need to highlight some areas where these methods are not really answered in terms of efficiency, productivity, or other any key performance indicator. The point here is we need to find the weakness in our process. We need to review our project portfolio. This is very important. We need to review on ongoing and upcoming projects to see what are the characteristics of each project. And then we're gonna classify them based on the complexity, size, criticality, to identify what are the potential candidates for hybrid management. We also will work on resource mapping. So we need to think about the human resources, who has the skills to work in a hybrid environment, what are the training gaps. They need to know more about adaptive, more about predictive, more about hybrid. So we need to really improve the skills of our human resources. We also need to think about the technological resource. So do you have the technology that you need to use to adopt a hybrid? You need to identify some software tools that can help in hybrid project management. There are some tools, some softwares that you can use for hybrid management, and there are others that you can't, that are not really created to be adaptive in this context. We need to work in the stakeholder identification. Who needs to be involved in this process? We need to think about risk assessment. What are the potential risks of switching this methodology when you move from an approach to another? We need to be aligned with business goals. We need to understand if hybrid approach is aligned with company's objectives. Think about regulatory compliance. You need to make sure that hybrid approach is compliant with industry-specific regulations, and this will change for each domain. The step 4 is finding the pilot project that you're gonna use to start your transition. So I suggest you to choose a smaller and low-risk project. When you found this project, you will select this project and select also some KPIs and goals that you want to achieve with this new approach. And also you're going to identify tools and software that you need to help you on managing this project. After you found this project, you're going to execute and monitoring, doing weekly check-ins and midterms reviews. In hybrid approach, you can define the duration, the timeline, the time box that you're gonna use to monitor your project status. I suggest you to not be too long, but not too short. You can do some weekly status, you can do bi-weekly status, but try to get some control over the activities to have time to take some actions if something happens. Assessment, it's very important. You need to collect data about what is going on in your project. You need to get feedback from your teams, your project teams. You need to understand you need to have some statistics, some data to evaluate, to compare with other approach. And finally, you're gonna scale this practice, this approach to other projects that are more complex or bigger. This is the idea to find a pilot project. And when you finish this project, of course, you're gonna review, you're gonna evaluate on how can you adopt this approach, the hybrid approach, on a larger or more complex projects. And for this, you're gonna see some informations like project team review, stakeholder review, key metrics, lessons learned, return on your investment, quantitative and qualitative data, budget adherence, skill set review, final report, documentation. So you're gonna take all these information, all these documents, and you're gonna take a look how can you adopt or adapt this information to another project. And finally, you're gonna scale up. You're gonna implement it on a larger and more complex projects. For this, you're gonna look at the infrastructure and tools. You're gonna find a centralized system, implement a centralized project management system that supports hybrid methodologies. It's important that you start creating like a PMO or excellence center in terms of adopting hybrid methodologies. You're gonna need to work on collaborative tools to integrate and facilitate the communication both with traditional and agile approach. You need to think about the policy and guidelines, methodologies handbook. You need to document and keep informated keep updated your project team and your stakeholders about new practice and new insights about using hybrid. You can also develop some templates. I am not really a good fan about templates because some templates could be good for one kind of project and not good for another projects. For example, if you're working in a small project, okay, it's a different way to communicate, to document a small project than you're gonna use for a bigger project. So be careful when you define some templates that fits for all projects. This is a real a risk in your process because, as I said, you need to be flexible and adaptive. Think about your project. Think about the productivity that you're gonna deliver, and the templates could help you to get some ideas, but should not really break you or stop you on your productivity. Training, you need to involve organizational training, conduct workshops, train all stakeholders, not just the project teams. Certifications, so you need to really motivate people to get some hybrid project management certifications. You need to establish a governance, so we need to have a steering committee that will help you to support you on this initiative. You also can have some audits, some process to investigate and ensure that you are following the right process in your hybrid approach. Develop some communications. You can use internal process to your organization to really spread out the information and the results in your organization. And also you need to create a communication channel with everyone to get some feedback. This is very, very important. This is very important. You need to create this communication channel in your organization, in your project, to get feedbacks to improve your process. And finally, the resource allocation. Think about have a financial plan in terms using your resources, human resources, material resources, technological resources, to make sure that you have enough money, enough budget to manage your next projects. So this is the final step when you're trying to adopt hybrid approach, when you go to scale this process to other projects. That's it. So stay tuned on my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, I cannot use much time to detail this process. So I suggest you to following my channel, and you're gonna see other videos where I'm gonna have more time and experience and information to share about hybrid project management. My next video, by the way, I'm gonna talk about tools for hybrid project management. And this is something that most of my audience, people, friends ask me, what's the best tool to use in a hybrid project management? Which tool I can use? Can I use MS Project? Can I use Kanban? Can I use Scrum? What is the tool? What's the method that I can use to manage a project in a hybrid way? So keep following me on my YouTube, my channel here. If you like this video, give a like, thumbs up. I'm sorry for any mistake. I'm just trying to learn this, and I like to have you in my next video. My name is Rogério Manso, and I'd like you to start projecting now.